The Commodore 64 is back from when gamers were more zen than Buddhist monks, as they were able to sit through several minutes of this each time they had to load a game. What is actually happening here is that analog tones are turned into bits of digital data. This also means that the pirates in the 80s could play back these horrible sounds into their long-range walkie-talkies, and then anyone listening in could record it on their tape recorders, and then play back the games on their own Commodores. This system of game transfers meant that when my parents bought us a used Commodore 64, it came with hundreds of games that the previous owner had collected.
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
It means that I have played all too many weird games on the Commodore 64, and here are my top 10 favorite games. Number 10 is the controversial Great Giana Sisters, which is basically a Super Mario Bros. Ripoff, just with more creepy monsters and cooler weapons, of which my favorite weapon is the strawberry, which allows you to shoot homing projectiles. Just like in the Mario games, this game has overworld and underworld levels, but the bosses have been replaced with some big nasty ants. Let's eat some mushrooms and take a trip to number 9, which is Hero. It's a game where you play a bomb planting and laser shooting hero who travels through underground caves infested with snakes and spiders in order to reach and save people who got lost there. The game mechanics are simple, as you just have to conserve your bombs and fuel while not flying into obstacles. The game was fun for its time, but I don't really think it holds up anymore. Let's use our laser sight to identify some even cooler games on the list. Number 8 is Outrun, which has my favorite soundtrack of any Commodore 64 game. So lean back in your Ferrari Testarossa and enjoy the cruise down the freeway towards the horizon with a hot babe by your side. This was the first game in a long series of iterations that all maintained the essence of the game's checkpoint-based gameplay and the game's focus on colorful paradise locations. Let's race on to number 7, which is Boulder Dash. It is basically a puzzle game where you have to collect a fixed number of diamonds before you can exit the level. As you dig your way through the levels, you have to watch out for rocks falling on your head and weird exploding monster thingies. It is the type of game that is still fun to play to this date, as its gameplay is timeless. Let's rock on to the next game. Number 6 is International Karate Plus. Though the game is a classic, it is likely a copy of the game Karate Champ, which is the game that they play in the movie Bloodsport. The game has you fighting your way from the white belt to the black belt in various cool locations like Sydney and New York City. In between the fights you have to perform cool ninja tricks, like defending yourself from balls. The soundtrack was composed by the 8-bit music wizard Rob Hubbard, who also did the soundtrack for a game a bit further down the list. It is impressive what 8-bit craftsmen could get out of just a few notes. Let's kick our way into the top 5. Number 5 is Robotron 2084. In the future, man creates the Robotron, a species so advanced that man is inferior to it, and therefore man must be destroyed. Due to a genetic engineering error, you possess superhuman powers, and you have to use them to save the last human family from the Robotron. The game is highly addictive. You can run and shoot in all directions simultaneously, and the game quickly becomes challenging, but you cannot let the Robotron win. As you progress through the levels, more and more Robotrons are added with crazier and crazier abilities, and chaos quickly ensues. Though the Commodore 64 version is fun, you really need to play the game at the arcade to get the true experience. Let's take a vortex into the next game. Number 4 is the top-down shooter Commando. which has one of the most iconic soundtracks of the Commodore. The game has you running and gunning down bad guys. It is a bit of a bullet hell type of game, and it is very hard, so it feels awesome every time you complete an area. It is time to run into an exploding building to look for the next game on the list, which is number 3, Gyrus. The game will have you spinning around as you attempt to take down squadrons of enemy spaceships. It was a favorite of mine because of its cool soundtrack and because it is one of those games where you keep attempting to set a new high score. Actually, a guy from my neighborhood has the world record for playing this game for 58 hours and 43 minutes straight, which is a pretty incredible achievement. Let's warp our way to number 2, which is Leaderboard Golf. Believe it or not, this golf game totally absorbed my big brother and I, though we were only 8 and 11 years old. The game is as simple as they come, as the power and precision of your shots are just determined by 2 button presses. It is incredible how much fun a game with such simplistic graphics can be. The only other golf game I have ever enjoyed is that Frisbee golf game on the Nintendo Wii. Let's put our way into the honorable mentions, and we have a lot. We have the incredibly hard and scary Ghost and Goblins. We have the lamp collecting Bruce Lee. We have the James Bond inspired Spy Hunter, and we have the Indiana Jones inspired Rick Dangerous. We have the shooter Cabal. We have the ear twisting and monkey dancing game Bob and Rumble. We have the joystick ruining The Cathlon. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Coin Up, and we have the gold collecting game Loot Runner. And now to number 1, which is Bobble. This game is just so chill to play, and if you start a session, it is hard not wanting to complete all of the game's 100 levels. It is also one of the few multiplayer games on the list, as they were quite scarce on the Commodore 64. Bobble gave us a hint of what was to come with the amazing Commodore Amiga 500, which was the follow-up to the Commodore 64. Check out my video on the best games for the Amiga 500. A link can be found in the description. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you later.